Hey Fae folk, welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be doing a cheeky little unboxing, a little faceless unboxing and review of this year's Skelita Calaveras doll for Dia de Muertos. And to say that I'm excited is a bit of an understatement. Quite frankly, I'm not sure that I have the words to express how thrilled I am about this doll. She's just unbelievably beautiful to me. I can't believe she's like finally here, finally tangible. I'm going to get to unbox her like what? I'm so excited. So they have been making Skelita dolls for Dia de Muertos for a few years now. I think this is either the third or fourth one that they've done. I want to say third, but like I'm not 100% sure. Point being though, the previous ones, like they have not been in any way to me bad dolls. Like I haven't looked at them and been like, ew, they're ugly or anything like that. I just think this doll has such a level of detail, and the face especially is like so just unreal to me compared to the others. So no hate to them, no shade to those dolls, but this one has captured my attention just like completely. Ever since we got leaks of this doll, I have been foaming at the mouth to get her. Like I'm not exaggerating. I have thought about this doll like at least once a week since we got those leaks, and now she's here and I'm just so excited. So obviously you're seeing the front of her box here. I do think it's quite a pretty box. I don't know if I'm going to try to salvage any of it. I guess we'll see how the unboxing process goes. But she does look quite beautiful in her box. We've got some cute little designs there. And then we have some information about the design for this Dia de Muertos doll on the back here. It's, oh God, I really want to just be like, pause and read, but it's so tiny that I don't know if you're going to be able to. So I guess we're going to try. Apologies in advance for anything that I mispronounce. I'm just sort of not always great at that, but it's never coming from a place of like disdain. I don't know if that's maybe the right word. My tongue just doesn't want a tongue sometimes. Anyway, though, we do have English here and then Spanish, and then we also have, I want to say French over here, little picture of Skelita, and the text reads, Dia de Muertos is a day of remembrance, where we honor those who came before us. So for this season's holiday, I wanted to dive deep into my Scaritage. My Aztec ancestor lived during the time of Quetzalcoatl. Again, really sorry if I mispronounced that. The feathered serpent revered as a symbol of death and resurrection. To celebrate this spirit, I embroidered Quetzalcoatl in vibrant color across my gown. My headdress is inspired by his spooky splendor, too. Honoring Quetzalcoatl reminds me of how the past is intertwined with the present, just as life is intertwined with death and darkness with light. That's like genuinely beautiful, actually. Like, I love that. I love that little blurb back there. That was, I mean, for like a doll box blurb, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not usually expecting necessarily that much, but that's quite poetic. So we love that. But last thing I have to do before I finally get to unbox her is go ahead and go over the rubric with you guys. So let me pull that up right quick. For emotion, I don't care. She's getting a 5. I very rarely give 5s, and I didn't technically cry over this doll, but like I could see it happening. So we're just gonna we're gonna give her a 5. That being said, she has to get a 3 for need to customize, because I do think that I want to chrome out her belt, or like gold chrome out her belt to make it more shiny instead of like this sort of more flat gold color. It's pretty minor, but since painting accessories is an example for 3 for need to customize, I kind of have to give her that. Quality, I gave her a 5. Number of pieces alike, she also gets a 5, despite the fact that I do want to amp up some of the pieces. There's no piece that she comes with that I want to take off. So I think that that's fair. And then uniqueness, she also gets a 5 because I have never owned a Skelita doll. This is my first Skelita from any generation, which is also something that I'm so beyond excited about. So definitely earned the 5 for uniqueness. Adding that all up, this is a really high score. This actually might be the highest score I've given, or like it might tie for the highest score I've given, because Skelita gets 23 out of 25 possible points. She literally only lost points because I wanted to go a little extra mile with her and paint her belt, but like that's a crazy high score actually. So that definitely proves that I was solid to purchase her. But now that we have discussed her box, discussed her in the box, gone over the rubric and everything, I finally get to take her out, and I can't wait, y'all. You can't see me, but I am, in fact, screaming silently. So give me one moment to go ahead and get her out off screen, and then we will come back and look at everything she comes with, talk about quality, and hopefully have just a wonderful time doing so. So I will be right back with y'all. Okay, we've got her unboxed. Skelita is in the corner for just a second because there's not a whole lot to talk about before we get into her, but like something about the extra fancy dress makes the corner time a little bit funnier to me. I can't lie. So first we just have a certificate of authenticity. It's kind of basic. It's just, it's there. I guess I have it now. I did want to look at the stand real quick. It's just like a saddle stand, which I am curious about how that will go on. Actually, we'll talk about it in a second. But the bottom, like at the base of the stand, isn't just a typical Monster High stand. It's like specially decorated for her. I just love that. Like I wasn't expecting that since I don't have any of the other like dolls from this lineup. I don't know if that's how they all are, but I thought that was so like cutie, just like a little unnecessary detail that I do really appreciate. But of course, Skelita herself is the moment. Wow. Just wow. So let's go ahead and look at her face before we get into like the headdress and everything, just so we can sort of talk about the base doll. First of all, I know I said face. Listen, I'm inconsistent. The arms and everything, they're so, because like I said, I've never had a Skelita doll. I did like just get Emily, so I have experience with a doll with one skeleton arm and one skeleton leg, but the whole skeleton body, it's just like, it feels so fragile, but like also so beautiful. Anyway, the face, hello. I do think that the nose paint on mine is like a little bit off, but it wasn't bad enough for me to want to return her and exchange her just because like first of all I feel like I just care less about Wonk than other people, which obviously if it bothers you a lot you're allowed to be bothered. I just like don't personally tend to care as much, but there's so much going on with her face that frankly I'm impressed that more isn't messed up, if that makes sense. Like not I struggle because like that should not be the baseline that we're at for these companies, but also that is where I'm at, where I'm just looking at all this stuff and I'm like, she's got detailing in her hairline, she's got really intricate makeup and like spider webbing, she's got an entire like, for lack of a better term, blushing on her face where she's like kind of blue around the eyes and like up towards the forehead and then, more bone white by her chin. She's got the mouth paint, like extra mouth paint. There's so much going on with this doll that like if the nose is the only piece that's slightly off, I'm personally fine with it. Again, absolutely no judgment for anyone who wouldn't be fine with it, but for me, that's good. That is good enough. I don't care. And she's so she's just so gorgeous. Definitely like the face is such a big seller to me for this doll. Like it's just so striking and unique and feels very different from anything else that Monster High has done. Hi baby. I don't know if y'all heard Reese meowing. Come here, kitten. I know. Mommy loves you. You're okay. Back to Skelita. Sorry. Like other Skelita dolls, other Monster High dolls in general, like I know that there have been some really detailed face ups, but this feels like low key the most impressive one, at least in my memory. So I am loving that. But to get into the headdress, it is just like blank on the back, which I'm not really surprised. Frankly, Mattel and Monster High would do that for like a $90 to $100 doll. So while it's not necessarily ideal, like it would be so cool if we could get the back painted, I'm not surprised that it happened on a $60 doll. And like, I'm gonna be okay because the front is so, oh my gosh, it's so incredible. Like the amount of detail and colors and everything in the front of this headdress is so good. And I feel like I'm tilting her to the side slightly so that I can like look at her head on. Sorry. I feel like it's fairly well placed. Like there are bits and pieces here that look a little bit off, but for the most part, I feel like this printing is done like actually very well. And I'm just genuinely blown away by it. Like her headpiece in and of itself feels like a work of art. Like that's just so, it's just so impressive. So that's obviously like the big piece up top. And then she has these marigolds that sort of wrap around. We've got like the chain. And then we have these two pieces here that actually dangle. Hello. Y'all know I love when we get pieces that like actually have some dangle, some movement to them, just because it's like, I don't know, that's something to me that is a bit rarer to find on a Playline doll, so it kind of instantly makes things feel a little bit more high quality and a little bit more collector to me. Not that like they never happen on Playline dolls, but I feel like it's rare, you know? So the fact that these pieces, which I guess are like, I don't know because like I don't know historically if these are something that would typically be a part of any headdress that this might be referencing, or if they're like meant to be sort of like her earrings because she doesn't have ears. But either way, the fact that We actually get some dangle. I'm obsessed with the necklace. Also very, very good. Same sort of printing technique as on her headdress. I know, Reese, but like it's just still so pretty. I think once I get this part and this part gold, like her belt gold, it's gonna be really good. I also think I saw someone on Instagram do gold details on these bits. I might have to steal that idea because I feel like that could also be really, really cute. But again, for the base doll, like this is still so good. She's got these sheer, super poofy sleeves, which if you know me, you know that I love a good dramatic sleeve. Now, before we get into the skirt section, you might have heard some like crinkling. That's because this is the situation underneath. And that's why I was like, oh, wait, the saddle stand. Because I figured this piece, because I think it goes all the way up into her bust. I could be wrong. We'll find out in a minute. I thought that piece might just be like keeping shape of the dress because she's a skeleton, but then there's also this like wrap underneath, and I don't think I can get the stand. I mean, I guess I could really finesse it. Okay, so I guess if you want to, you can have her use the stand with all of these things on it. That didn't work. There we go. Okay, she was just a little unbalanced there for a second. But like that's gonna bother me, all that crinkle and everything. I know it's there for a reason. Like, I do understand there is a purpose to this. I'm gonna take it off real quick, so I'll be right back. Okay, the task has been done. As I thought, this did go up all the way up to her bodice. So like if you want her to look perfectly filled out and everything, don't take that off. I don't think it is that bad. Like it doesn't really make a huge difference. I think just because of the dress that she is wearing. But just a note, don't do that if you want it to be like pristine and perfect. If you know anything about me, if you've been here before, you know that I like take everything off my dolls. I wash all their hair like 99.9% of the time. I like to take the rubber bands holding accessories off and stuff like that because I don't know, I like them to feel as real as possible, even though it's not always necessarily the best for display. That's just like what I prefer. So that was coming off anyway. And now you can maybe see the difference from before and after. Like I said, I don't think it's that severe, but it's there. This piece is just like a little, like not clip on because it's like a soft plastic, but sort of like just a little clip on there. So very easy to take on and off if for whatever reason you didn't want that to be a part of the design. Then her dress. I will say like it's quite flat. Like it definitely doesn't have the volume that like maybe I would like. So I think at some point I probably will either buy or make a petticoat for her so that it can poof out a little bit better, but that's pretty standard for what you get in like the doll market nowadays. So I'm not necessarily complaining. I'm just sharing in case you wouldn't have known that. But I love the fabric, like the print of this fabric, not the fabric itself. Okay, it doesn't feel bad quality, but it like this shiny, shimmery, like sateen. Is that the right word? I don't really know. But like this sort of fabric is very rarely my favorite just because it doesn't necessarily work for me. I think a lot of the time it just feels a little bit cheapy. It doesn't ruin the dress for me because again, this one actually is like you're not going to be able to tell just from the video, and I'm so upset. It is a fairly thick satin sort of fabric. Like it's definitely not thin and papery and nasty like a lot of what we get on like budget or playline dolls. So it's not as bad. I think I just sort of associate the shine with that at this point because so many super cheap dolls do have shiny fabric like that. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, this one is actually quite nice. The pattern is just printed on. It's printed on all the way around, which thank you. We needed that. It is like slightly disappointing. If I get in close, you can see, especially like in this sort of area here, that it's mimicking embroidery. Like it's like printed on stitches. And I do think that that kind of makes it worse than if it were just printed on as a design. Like on the back of the box, it did specifically say that she embroidered it, but Mattel didn't embroider it. And like on the one hand, I do get that there's no way this doll would be able to be the price point that she is if they embroidered this much, because that is a lot. Okay, normally I'm happy to shit on Mattel and their like pricing and everything. That is a lot of embroidery. There's more under here. Hold on, now I gotta take these little tacks out because I just saw more of this design and now we have to see that too. Okay, yeah, so under this front panel, it lifts. It's like a separate piece. It was just tea tied down. There's even more, and it's so pretty. I'm actually kind of sad that all this middle section is like hidden, but that's actually kind of cool because you have the same design on the front panel, except it's metallic gold. That's kind of sick, actually. Anyway, though, sorry, I keep getting like distracted. This is a lot of detailing. So I can understand why they didn't embroider it, but I think it would have been better if they just printed it and left out the part about her embroidering, because I just think that like the attempt to mimic embroidery to me makes this worse than if it were just printed fabric. I don't know if any of y'all feel that way. You can let me know in the comments. But yeah, I still don't hate it. Obviously, I'm obsessed with this doll. I'm just sort of commentating. I think it just would have been better. I do like that this is a separate panel though. Like that's very, very nice. I love that we have a proper metallic down the middle. Like that is so shiny and so pretty. And the trim, the fringe, that's that's incredible. I genuinely love that so much. The lace at the bottom of her dress too is really, really nice. Like I love the length that it adds. The feeling is very good. Like it feels nice. It's definitely a very, very beautiful piece to like trim the dress out with. Really quick, she does have just like black hair, some teal in there, a little bit of orange in there. It feels quite nice, quite soft. Honestly, I might be able to get away with just combing this out and not having to wash it for once because there's no product in here, which is crazy. That never happens. Like, not that they never don't use product, but it is rare that they don't use product. And I feel like it's rare for it to look this good out of the box with no product, but like low key, I don't know if I need to touch that. So that's an unexpected plus, less work for me. And then to round out everything, we can go ahead and look at the shoes that Miss Skelita has. So they are gold across like the main body of the shoe. There's so much to hold out of the way. I'm trying to make sure that this is like in frame and unobstructed for you guys. It's just, like a little heel. I do think the sort of weaving design is quite pretty. But then on the back, we've got the Quetzalcoatl's. That's so good. The color too, like the teal, it's so pretty. It stands out so well. It's not like an insane amount of painted detail or like print painted detail. I don't know what you technically call that, but it is enough for it to feel like they actually put in effort for the shoes. And they're so pretty, even though they're like not visible. They are very pretty. So I do want to see how she stands now that I've taken that like support. That's not really a support, but I've taken like the structure out. She's definitely a little top heavy with the headdress and everything, but if you balance her right, I feel like she can stand up. I'm definitely not going to call her the most secure doll ever. But she does stand up. She does manage with her little saddle stand. So, final thoughts. What is my least favorite thing? Oh my god. I guess my least favorite thing is the fact that they tried to mimic embroidery. Oop, yeah, see, she's definitely a little wibbly. You know what? That's actually my least favorite thing. Cause like I'm not a super hater of saddle stands, but they are definitely less secure. And I feel like for a doll like this, whose body is so, I mean, she's literally a skeleton. So the body is quite thin, quite like fragile. Like it's not, this sturdy hunk of plastic, right? And then she obviously has a slightly oversized head, as all Monster High dolls do, and then the big headdress and everything. So I feel like she's just a little too top heavy for a saddle stand to maybe be the ideal solution. Of course, she quite literally doesn't have a waist. She just has a spine. So like a waist clip wouldn't really work either. She's a toughie with that, but I do have to point it out. So that would probably be my least favorite thing. The thing I was saying about the embroidery, like it's not that big a deal. That was just me trying to pick a least favorite thing, if I'm being honest. Like I do think it's worthy of critique to some degree, but like it doesn't bother me personally. As far as favorite things go, I think just the details overall, like the lace trim, they could have just had, gosh, yeah, she's really toppling. They could have just had though, like the black part going to the floor. And I think that still would have been a nice design, but like this elevates it so much. The fringe, the amount of effort put into her face, I just smacked her box with my hand that's not on screen and knocked it over. So if you heard that, that's what it was. I'm interrupting myself a lot today. Point being, the face, the headdress, the necklace, like there's so much detail all over this doll, and I just think she's genuinely stunning. So despite the fact that she is a little imbalanced, I'm obsessed with her. I'm so happy to finally have a Skelita and to have it be such a gorgeous Skelita at that. Like That's kind of crazy. It is sort of funny just because like the two scary schools, Jennifer and then Skelita, both are dolls that I had never had until I got one of their collector dolls. I got the Fangfoot Jennifer, and now I have this Skelita, and it's like I feel like it's such a great way to have them. You know, like they're dolls that I didn't necessarily expect to have in my collection, or characters that I didn't necessarily expect because those G1 dolls, like I just don't like them enough to pay secondhand G1 prices. But then for them to have collector dolls that come out that are so gorgeous, I'm so happy. Like I feel like there's a parallel there, and I'm just so excited to get to have this doll in my collection. But I'm gonna stop yapping, y'all. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this Skelita. Do you love her? Do you hate her? Is she your favorite from the lineup of Dia de Muertos dolls? I just want to hear all of your thoughts because I am raving and just so excited. But yes, that is going to be it for me for today, guys. I do hope you're able to enjoy this video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.